meditation this morning on the larger catechism considers question number 105. The answer is rather long, so we're going to get just partway through the answer of the catechism. The question is, what are the sins forbidden in the first commandment? The answer, the sins forbidden in the first commandment are atheism, in denying or not having a God; idolatry, in having or worshipping more gods than one, or any with or instead of the true God; the not having or vouching him for God and our God; the omission or neglect of anything due to him required in this commandment; ignorance, forgetfulness, misapprehensions, false opinions, unworthy and wicked thoughts of him; bold and curious searching into his secrets; all profaneness, hatred of God. We'll finish the answer at that point. Last week we considered the kinds of things that the first commandment requires of us positively in terms of our duties to God, how we should worship him, think on him, serve him, and him alone. Here we consider the opposite of that, those things which the commandment forbids us to do. The commandment puts before us a kind of a fence beyond which we must not trespass. There is the one area where we may serve the Lord with freedom and with joy in his positive commandments and how we are to love him. But then there are ways in which we transgress his law by going into areas that his word forbids. And this portion of the answer here covers a variety of religious topics, beginning with atheism. The commandment forbids atheism. When an individual says that I don't believe in God, I don't believe that there is any God, that's not simply a matter of his own personal opinion. That is a breaking of God's law and an offense to the God who created him, the God who made his presence evident in all the world. Atheism, the denying or not having a God, is forbidden. Now some are openly and theoretically atheists. They will tell you, I do not believe in God. But there are not very many people who are quite that bold in their assertions of unbelief. Some will suggest, as agnostics do, well, I just don't know if there is any God. And so they live as though there was no God. So atheism is forbidden both in its outward forms, in its most direct forms, but also in those rather polite forms. Those ways in which folks try to express their atheism in ways that don't get them into having a bad opinion before others. Idolatry is forbidden. That I think we would think on naturally. First, with regard to idolatry, we may not have God as one God among other gods. We do not believe in political pluralism, so that it's true to believe in the one true God that we have revealed in the Scriptures, but also to believe in other gods, or to believe that other paths all lead to God. No, there's only one God that we may serve. And so idolatry is having or worshiping more gods than one, or worshiping, obviously, other gods besides the one true God. Equally a violation of God's law. Note that Christian faith makes a strong distinction between the true God and false gods. And that the gods of the nations are false, empty, and not to be feared. There's only one true God. It is also a breaking of this commandment not to love and serve this God, not having him as your own God. Failing to do anything that he commands you is a breaking of this commandment. Ignorance or forgetfulness with regard to what his commandments are, or misapprehension of what he has said, is also a sinful breaking of this commandment. False opinions, heresy, those kinds of things are breaking of this commandment. Because God is their Creator, their Lord, and He governs our thinking, the way that we should understand who He is and how we are to live before Him. Unworthy and wicked thoughts of Him, then bold and curious searching into His secrets. How many of us search boldly into His secrets? I think too often the natural man is unconcerned about God, doesn't think about God much at all, but there are some who would try to pursue these kinds of things. The commandment forbids us to go beyond what God has revealed, or to speculate beyond God's revelation. Then all profaneness and hatred of God. These are forbidden in the first commandment.